Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. And we have Charity snapping back at Nick Viall after he called her a pick-me girl. And says that she basically likes to chase after the F-boys. So she responds on Threads, which is Instagram's new version of Twitter. So we're going to share exactly what she said and what Nick said to lead her to publicly comment about it. It's a tale as old as time. A Bachelorette lead upset with Nick Viall. Add Charity to the list. Oh, Nick's got a list. No one's got a roster like Nick does when it comes to pissing off leads or former leads of the show. It's actually quite a skill, if you ask me. If Nick could be a superhero, his superhero trait would be getting underneath people's skin. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. If you want to get on top of my skin and see me in the flesh, that's a weird way to put it, come to my stand-up shows August 24th in Seattle, August 17th, Huntington Beach. I got the Seattle ticket shows right there. We've got VIP tickets, a meet and greet afterwards. It's going to be a ton of fun. And if you're single, come along. Maybe there'll be someone you can match up with there. And then patreon.com/Dave Neal for behind the scenes bonus content. If you want to see how I put this episode together, and I mean going all the way over here and looking at my Photoshop and putting together the different thumbnails, I literally show the Patreon just exactly how I build it all up. If you want to check that out, that's where it is. Okay, so patreon.com/Dave Neal. And then right after this, we'll have the podcast Bachelor Rush Hour. Am I frantic? Maybe, because these are the stories we love the most, which is really just, it's like, look, it's like being in a big family. You're at the barbecue and you're like, well, this barbecue is kind of boring. And then your uncles start fighting about politics and you're like, all right, I'm going to go put a little extra ketchup on the hot dog and enjoy a front row seat here. And that's what we've got right now. So first I saw Reality Steve commented and I was like, what's he even talking about? And then we see Charity. So he screen grabbed Charity's thread. Charity said, maybe it's time we stop getting dating advice from unqualified TV personalities who like bashing women for the sake of views. Shrug emoji. Reality Steve responds, gotta love it. The hypocrisy from that man is becoming more laughable by the day. I'd say do better, but he doesn't care. It's his world. We're all just lucky to live in it. Reality Steve employing the use of sarcasm to be so lucky enough to live in Nick's world. Okay, so we're going to get to it. Not the first time. I'm going to share with you guys just exactly what Nick said. We covered this a few days ago. You might have missed it. But first, let's take a lap around the block here and remember when Rachel Recchia, excuse me, had commented on Nick. Let's play that right here.
In their shoes,
bingo.
I don't think Rachel spent any time ever thinking about what this is like for them. And you saw that very much with Avon.
So Nick didn't only comment on Rachel on his podcast. He actually made a TikTok about it, which I think we have here. What did I call? I covered this on the 11:28 mark here. 1 second. So let's go to 11:28 here.
Wrapped up in it. She wants somebody to be so certain.
Totally.
She wants somebody to be so certain and to be like that consistent piece. So I think it was two parts. I felt like he said that. He tripped up on his words. Like, I get it. Like, I don't think he really meant that.
So there's Greg Grippo giving people the grace here, and Nick says, I don't really buy it. So here's where we have Nick on the 2:12 mark mentioning, I covered this 10 months ago here, but this is where he made a video.
Really smiling at Avon after they hugged, as if like to me that smile was a smile that she was supposed to wait until she got back to her hotel room.
And this is the smile he's talking about. We'll play this video in a second, but that's the smile he's talking about. This like, bye. So anyway, let's finish what he has to say.
Knowing that she just had Tino left. And like that, to me, that smile was this like, she's literally smiling. Like she's looking at Avon, smiling at him. He looks distraught. And it was almost like she was just like...
Let me see this photo.
So that's where Nick kind of takes liberty to what he thinks went down with Rachel Recchia. And of course, that's exactly what he did with Charity, where he took some liberties to say, oh, Charity's only into this guy. She's not into the other guy. Really with having no basis whatsoever. So after Nick made this video, which again, we covered 10 months ago here, are you subscribed or not? Rachel's smiling as she walks away from just breaking up with Avon, which we know as an audience member could have been an hour-long conversation conversation or 30 minutes, and maybe she's just smiling because that's what we do. Oh, sorry about that. And then they leave there, they break up, right? So Rachel comments on Nick's TikTok. Avon and I had a nice moment at the door after something very difficult for both of us. I was trying to hold it together. And then Nick does the thing that he does, which is kind of says like, hey, come on the podcast. Let's talk about it. You know, it's like he cattle prods someone and then says, oh, you got cattle prodded here. You need and then he's like, do you need a first aid kit? It's like, I wouldn't need a first aid kit if you didn't cattle prod me, you know? Then Nick responds, the people want you on the pod. We want to get to know the real you. It will be a great conversation and a chance to share your POV, which, by the way, I know Rachel's not big in my YouTube world, but we love Rachel Recchia. And if you guys want, send her a DM. Tell her I'm begging Rachel Recchia to come on my Driving with Dave channel. I'd love to take a few laps around the block with her. Anyway, and then Nick below says, I imagine Rachel relates more to Clayton now, which is kind of one of those like, now that you've been the center of controversy, it sucks, doesn't it? But now that Nick's been the center of controversy, again, it's been a few years since he's been on the show, so maybe empathy can not only be built, but it can also deteriorate, I imagine. So anyway, here's what Nick had to say about Charity. Just after seeing, because I really think Rachel Recchia was one of the first where we've seen a lead in real time slam Nick. Nick's kind of, you know, he's a big figure. He's on the sort of Mount Rushmore of Bachelor alumni as far as commentators go. That is undeniable. And, you know, to challenge someone who's got so much sway with his opinion is tough. But Rachel did just that. Here's Charity, and here's what he had to say about her.
How Charity pretended to the guys as if it was her decision. Yeah. All while being so completely rattled. It's like, I'm just so confident about this decision. I'm like,
No, you're not confident.
You are just spiraling, Charity.
And he's not wrong that Charity was clearly having a moment where she was being rejected by Brayden and this and that. But like, I wouldn't go ahead and make fun of her for that, because that's a tough human response Charity's giving us. I think we should applaud Charity for giving us that human response and be like, hey, it's nice that you sort of like felt your feelings and shared them, and she's trying her best. I don't think Charity's done anything vindictive on the show. She hasn't tried to slam anybody. You know, we saw it with Katie Thurston. She would sort of like go to anger when she's kicking someone out and she's feeling, it's like, it's all the same feeling, but Charity's very level-headed. And again, I don't think she needs any extra piling on there for how she's handling it. Let's continue her at all for that.
Charity loves a fuckboy.
She was still upset. You could tell that she had that little fire in her where she's like, okay, yeah, no, I know I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, no, it's
yeah.
fine. Yeah,
He's like, no, it wasn't you. I just wanted you to know.
But she was defensive there. He was like, yeah, I'm sorry. And she's like, it's just fair. She's like, and then we'll go to the 27 second mark here, and we have kind of the conversation continues.
Magnet.
I mean, she seems aware.
Oh, hold on here. So this is where Nick called her an F-boy magnet. Bingo. Bingo.
She's a fuckboy magnet.
I mean, she seems aware of it too. She's like, this is an old pattern.
Yeah. But it's Nick I don't know if we have a sample size to call Charity an F-boy magnet. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like Brayden was doing anything super problematic. He was a very charming guy with her. I wouldn't say she was actively going after F-boys. No, they came to her and she pursued the relationship as far as she could. Calls her an F-boy magnet.
Hard, the body just remembers, right? The body's like, well, no, this is familiar, so I want to go to it. And this is, to me, like, this is love, because this is what I know love to be, but I know her soul wants to go this way and try to get a new experience. She's probably still thinking about Brayden.
I think her date with Xavier, which, by the way, apologize, Xavier. I've been pronouncing it Xavier. I think her date with Xavier kind of highlighted that, right? Because I loved that voiceover that we, kind of.
Okay, so the Nick seems to think that she and Xavier are the real deal, and Dotun, I think he called him Doten. It's Dotun, I believe, doesn't stand a chance, but Dotton's doing a good job. But again, there's no spoilers. These are his opinions. Let's finish this off.
Incredible dresser. That sweater, French kiss. I want to go shopping with Xavier. Like,
did you say French?
And so he meant to say chef's kiss, but that's okay. So they continue.
Yeah.
Chemistry with Joey.
Joey's just there to be the next Bachelor.
Interesting.
And they're doing a good job.
And they're doing a good job.
What a dream about.
Yeah. It's so obvious who our top three are. I don't know.
This is where, again, these aren't spoilers. Nick's watching it like the rest of us. But, you know, Charity knows how it all ends. She knows how it went down. So for her to snap back at Nick after hearing this podcast or hearing clips of it, I don't blame her. So we go back to Charity's comment right here. Oh, that's the comment section from that. We see Charity's comment. Time to stop getting dating advice from unqualified TV personalities. And I don't know, maybe Nick's not giving his advice. He really, I mean, to defend him, he's a commentary channel. He's allowed to do that. Charity's allowed to respond. We're allowed to watch it all play out. But then some of the comments, were kind of like, in that particularly vile man child seems to love bashing the black bachelorettes. He was also very rude about Tayshia and Michelle. Look, I don't have any bachelor data spreadsheets about who Nick has bashed, this person versus that person, but we just showed him bashing Rachel Recchia. So I don't know if his bashing is colorblind or what, but either way, Charity's the lead and he's offering his opinion.
I was wrong about Joey Harrington, whatever his fucking name was. John. I got over John after he just absolutely blamed Brayden for his lack of chemistry with Charity. He's like, how could you do that to another man? It's like, what the fuck? Again, I
don't did Nick up his dose of Adderall today? Because it takes one to know one. I've been on the old coffee binge. Disagree. I would probably phrase it. Let's just go a little further here and finish off what Nick's saying. But hey. We love to see a snapback, and I'm sure it won't be the last one from Charity, considering the season is young.
Season. So the scene of which you had, what's his name?
John,
sure.
He's like, sure. Joey Harrington.
Whatever. He's making out with Charity, right? And then you see fucking Brayden just standing there. So just a little behind the scenes for you all. This is what I'm 99.99999% sure what happened. Brayden goes home in the limo. And then you saw in his exit, he's like, I just felt like, just like something left unsaid. He goes back to his hotel room. They're sitting in this compound, right? No one leaves the next fucking, immediately. They might leave the next day or the next 2 days. They have to book a flight, whatever the fuck. In that time period, a producer went up to him and said, hey, man, I don't know. It just felt like, it just felt like you had more to say, man.
Yeah, and again, this is exactly where I agree with Nick in that Brayden was sort of set up. And that's how, why, people said, oh, why did he crash the date? He was set up. I don't think Brayden, considering he was ready to leave, it makes perfect sense that he wasn't trying to milk the clock any longer. He was just trying to apologize, say his piece, and leave on better terms than how he left. I completely agree with Nick's take on that. But when it comes down to his take on Charity, going after F-boys and this and that, it's a leap. It's a giant leap, and it's also like, look, is it defamatory? No, I mean, look, he's just kind of putting the pieces together on Charity's character, which can be tough because he's just watching the curated show like the rest of us. So Reality Steve is no stranger to controversy around Nick Viall. I would say there is no bigger feud in the Bachelor world than Reality Steve and Nick, considering they both have very large platforms, they both get good guests, they both make content full-time regarding The Bachelor. Maybe Blake Horstman and Nick Viall also have a large beef. Caitlin Bristow and Nick have a beef, but they're also, it's like a working beef. Like they understand they can still use each other, and the list goes on. So no surprise here that Reality Steve has commented the way he did regarding what Nick had said. This was me just an hour ago. I go, I'm late to the party. What's this all about? What are we talking about? I didn't even know. And yeah, so then other comments. This is Nick talking bad about a woman, which again, like I said, I think he talks bad about the guys too. I don't think you can call Nick a sexist or any other terms based on what type of person he goes after more than others. I don't know. You guys tell me. I mean, he's harsh on Brayden. No, I guess he was a little forgiving of Brayden. Maybe there's a trend, but I'm not qualified right now to discuss that trend any farther, other than to just say Rachel Recchia and Charity Lawson, not fans of the Nick Viall podcast, as it appears. Let me know what you guys think. For me personally, I'm glad Nick shares his opinion. Tell us your opinions. You know what I mean? That's what drives the views. I'm glad he shares his opinion. And good on Charity for snapping back and not holding it in. All right, we'll be back later. Bye, guys.